This courtroom hearing was supposed to be straightforward, but it quickly turned into absolute chaos. The moment the judge begins addressing the charges, it becomes clear this defendant has no intention of cooperating. Instead of answering basic questions, he repeatedly claims he doesn't understand, challenges the court's authority, and insists that the legal system has no jurisdiction over him. What follows is a tense back and forth that perfectly illustrates the dangers of sovereign citizen ideology inside a real courtroom. The judge calmly explains the charges, the potential prison time, and even the constitutional foundation of the court itself. But none of it matters. Every explanation is met with circular arguments, fake legal terms, and deliberate refusal to engage. As the hearing drags on, patience begins to wear thin. The judge issues clear warnings, making it obvious that self-representation is not a game and courtroom rules are not optional. Meanwhile, the defendant continues talking over the court, avoiding direct answers, and pushing the limits of judicial tolerance. Things take an unexpected turn when an unmuted voice from the prosecution reacts in disbelief, a rare moment that shows just how absurd the situation has become. Even that doesn't stop the defendant. He doubles down, repeating the same talking points that courts across the country have rejected time and time again. Finally, the judge reaches a breaking point. After one last opportunity to comply is ignored, the courtroom shifts from debate to consequences. The judge finds the defendant in contempt of court and orders him taken into custody immediately, ending the hearing in the most dramatic way possible. This video is a textbook example of how sovereign citizen arguments collapse under real legal authority, and why refusing to follow court orders almost always ends badly.
You understand your right to a lawyer, including a court-appointed lawyer?
I understand that.
Okay. And do you wish to represent yourself instead of having an attorney?
Yeah, I'm here by special appearance, and I will be representing myself.
Okay. I'm required by law before I accept that waiver to do a couple things. One, advise you of the maximum penalties that you could face for the charges that you're in my court for. Resisting obstructing conservation officers is a high court misdemeanor punishable by up to 2 years in prison and or $1,000 fine. There's a habitual offender second notice that's been filed by the prosecutor, which would make that a felony punishable by up to 3 years and or $1,000 fine. And marine safety operating while intoxicated is a misdemeanor punishable by up to 93 days and or a $100 to $500 fine. Do you understand the maximum penalty for the charges against you?
Well, I don't even really understand why I'm here, honestly.
Well, okay. Well, that's fine. Do you understand the maximum penalty that I just explained to you?
No.
Hold on. I can't let you represent yourself until I establish a couple things.
Well, I need to establish a couple things too, honestly.
Hold on. Well, I can't let you represent yourself until I establish a couple things, or I'm going to be in trouble.
Okay.
Do you understand that the maximum penalty that you could face for the charges that you're here for is up to 3 years in prison and or a $1,000 fine?
I don't understand the nature and cause of the action against me. So
what is it that you don't understand? Do you not understand how long 3 years is, or how much the fine is that I've articulated? Can you tell me what it is you don't understand? I don't understand
the nature and cause of the action against me because we don't establish jurisdiction.
That's not what I'm asking you right now. Well, I'll let you place whatever objections you want on the record, Mr. McLeod. I promise you that. Okay. Can we just go one step at a time? So do you understand the maximum penalty that you could face if you're convicted as charged? 3 years in prison or $1,000 fine?
Well, I have another question because the statutory jurisdiction doesn't exist under the Constitution. So in order for me to defend myself, could you please tell me where the published rules of conduct are for criminal statutory jurisdiction, or where I can find the nature and cause of this jurisdiction, or how this information exists?
No, I don't even understand what you're asking.
So you're saying this is a statutory jurisdiction under what? The statutes of Michigan, correct?
Mr. McLeod, I've told you what my jurisdiction is.
General jurisdiction.
The people of the state of Michigan voted to convene a constitutional convention in 1961.
Sure.
There was a constitutional convention in 1961 and 1962. They proposed a state constitution. The voters of the state of Michigan ratified that in 1963. Article 6 establishes the judicial power. And the circuit court is a court under that judicial power of Article 6 of the state constitution. And so you're here in my court. I have subject matter jurisdiction over those crimes. I have personal jurisdiction over you because you've been alleged to have committed them in our county. That's my jurisdiction. So, Mr. McLeod, you want to represent yourself? Do you understand the maximum penalty that you could face of 3 years in prison and or $1,000 fine?
One second.
I can see why his attorney would, Drew. Oh, shit.
Hang on. Someone in the prosecutor's office is not muted. I'm going to remove you from the meeting at this time.
Oh,
Prosecutor's office is generally allowed to attend to observe. They've participated. I'm removing them. Mr. McLeod, do you understand the maximum penalty that you could face?
1 second. Okay, so when enforcement of mere statutes, judges of all courts do not act judicially and are thus are not protected and qualified by limited immunity. That's Owen versus the city. I just want to state a few things for the record since you're claiming this is a jurisdiction under statutory law.
Hang on. Mr. McLeod, can we back it? Look at me for a second. Can we talk here?
I challenge subject matter jurisdiction and nothing can go forward until that's addressed. You're saying
I did address it and I denied your objection. I have subject matter jurisdiction.
Doesn't exist under the Constitution.
Your objection is noted. Okay. So, Mr. McLeod, do you understand? Let me explain to you.
Sure.
Sometimes, as I said, people might want to represent themselves, but let's say they have limited intellectual capacity and they don't understand, establish that they know what's going on before I can allow them to represent themselves. I'm required to establish, do you comprehend, do you know the maximum penalty that you could face if you're convicted as a result of this charge? 3 years in prison or $1,000 fine. Do you understand that, Mr. McLeod?
So I'd like to state for the record that
Mr. McLeod, stop.
The court can be
Stop, Mr. McLeod. If you don't understand it, I'm going to revoke your right to represent yourself and have an attorney represent you because I can't establish that you know what you're doing. So do you know the maximum penalty that you would face?
Your Honor, I've challenged this court's jurisdiction. You haven't established it yet. You said you have a statutory jurisdiction which doesn't exist under the Constitution. I'm trying to figure out where I stand with this. So I can't answer any of your questions until you answer some of mine.
That's not how it works. Are you refusing to answer my question?
No, I'm
Then answer it. Do you understand the maximum penalty that you face for this charge?
So judges who become involved in enforcement of
Mr.
these
McLeod,
statutes.
I have other matters. Mr. McLeod,
agency. What's that?
you know, I understand you want to object to things and you're going to be allowed to object to things. Okay.
Sure.
But we have to do things one step at a time. And I do have other cases today. I'm not going to entertain this for like a whole hour. I've got other cases going on. If you want to dig in your heels and just make this real complicated or real difficult, we could do that. And I can hold you in contempt and you'll go back to a jail cell for a while.
Your Honor, I don't wish to be held in contempt. I just wish to exercise my Sixth Amendment right.
That's fine.
And
so before I can let you under,
I can cite laws that will show you that the exercise of a right can be converted into a crime. I'm trying to understand the nature and cause of the action against me. You're not clarifying enough to where I can comprehend it, as you say.
You don't comprehend the maximum penalty that you would face.
I'm not answering any of those questions until you establish that this is a court of the Constitution, has jurisdiction under these jurisdictions.
I established it. I told you. You might think I'm wrong and you can appeal.
There's no such thing as a statutory jurisdiction.
Mr. McLeod, let me make this simple for you. Do you ever watch, let me make this simple for you.
Sure.
I'm going to ask you this question one more time. One more time.
Okay.
Two things are going to happen. You are either going to answer my question or I'm going to hold you summarily in contempt and the court officer will bring you to a jail cell and we'll talk about it tomorrow. You understand that?
So,
Mr. McLeod, Mr. McLeod, two things are going to happen. You're going to answer my question or you're going to jail for summary contempt for not complying with the court's request. Do you, Mr. McLeod, understand that the maximum penalty for the charge against you is 3 years in prison and or $1,000 fine.
I don't understand the charges. I
Mr.
don't
McLeod is
accept
in
the
contempt of
charges.
court taken into custody.
Really? That's it. Protecting my rights is what you said last time. Sorry.
Fucking Joe.
This isn't true. You guys
You'll
are
have to follow
unlawful
unconstitutional
You're following
orders.
unlawful orders. It's not
Not a
constitutional
good
at all.
thing.
Mr. McLeod's in contempt, he's sentenced to 1 day. Mr. McLeod, your sentence is 1 day in jail. We'll reconvene tomorrow and get you
This is about
notice.
the Constitution. I did nothing wrong except to question and exercise my rights.
The courtroom opened under tense circumstances, with Judge Simpson presiding over a hearing that would quickly turn chaotic. On paper, it was straightforward. Mr. McLeod was facing charges for assaulting a police officer and operating a vehicle while intoxicated. But almost immediately, it became clear this would be anything but a routine case. From the first moments, the defendant refused to cooperate. When asked if he understood the charges, he dodged the questions, claiming he didn't understand what was being presented. Each attempt by the judge to clarify the charges and explain the potential penalties, which could reach up to 3 years in prison, was met with deflection, convoluted arguments, and references to sovereign citizen ideology. Judge Simpson maintained a calm and measured tone, explaining the legal framework that gave the court authority. He outlined how the Michigan Constitution of 1963 established both personal and subject matter jurisdiction. Every detail was carefully explained, emphasizing that understanding the proceedings was necessary to exercise self-representation. The judge's patience was tested repeatedly as Mr. McLeod ignored warnings and continued to spout pseudo-legal jargon in an attempt to challenge the court's authority. The virtual courtroom atmosphere grew more strained as the hearing progressed. At one point, someone from the prosecutor's office became audibly frustrated, reacting to the absurdity of the defendant's arguments. Judge Simpson briefly paused to address the disruption, a subtle reminder that even seasoned court personnel could be caught off guard by such behavior. Meanwhile, the defendant pressed on, using obscure legal terminology and circular reasoning in a desperate attempt to derail the hearing. Despite the distractions and repeated refusals to comply, the judge continued methodically explaining the law, the charges, and the consequences of non-compliance. He made it clear that the courtroom was not a forum for abstract arguments about jurisdiction or imagined loopholes. The right to self-representation came with responsibilities, and Mr. McLeod's failure to meet the basic standards for participation threatened to undermine the proceedings entirely. As minutes turned into hours, the tension escalated. The judge offered multiple opportunities for the defendant to engage meaningfully, but each was ignored or deflected. Mr. McLeod's persistence in using sovereign citizen rhetoric, claims that the court had no jurisdiction, that laws did not apply, and that constitutional authority did not extend to him, exposed the futility of such arguments in a modern legal system. Every attempt to disrupt the process only reinforced the court's authority and highlighted the consequences of refusing to participate in good faith. Finally, after repeated warnings, the judge's patience reached its limit. The courtroom, already strained by the absurdity of the situation, braced for a decisive moment. With a firm voice and unwavering authority, Judge Simpson found Mr. McLeod in contempt of court, ordering immediate incarceration. The ruling was clear, swift, and uncompromising, illustrating the serious consequences of ignoring judicial authority. Throughout the hearing, the narrative offered a broader perspective on sovereign citizen tactics. These strategies, often presented as clever ways to circumvent the law, consistently fail in real-world courtrooms. Courts across the country have repeatedly rejected such claims, and defendants who rely on them typically face harsher outcomes than if they had complied with basic legal procedures. Mr. McLeod's behavior exemplified this pattern, demonstrating that ideology cannot override established legal processes. The video also highlighted the human dynamics of the courtroom. Judge Simpson's calm yet firm demeanor contrasted sharply with the frustration and disbelief of those observing. From virtual reactions to moments of unintended humor, the hearing captured both the absurdity and the seriousness of encountering uncooperative defendants. Even in a controlled environment, the unpredictability of human behavior was on full display, illustrating the challenges judges faced when confronting individuals who refuse to follow established rules. The consequences of Mr. McLeod's choices were immediate and unavoidable. By ignoring repeated warnings and refusing to engage meaningfully, he forfeited any opportunity to influence the outcome of the hearing. The contempt ruling and subsequent jail sentence reinforced the authority of the court and underscored the importance of compliance. Legal systems rely on adherence to procedure, respect for authority, and a willingness to engage with established processes. Attempts to subvert these principles almost always result in failure. The video serves as a clear example of how courts handle defiance and pseudo-legal arguments. It demonstrates that patience, clarity, and procedural knowledge are essential tools for judges when managing difficult cases. At the same time, it provides a cautionary lesson for viewers about the real-world consequences of adopting fringe legal ideologies without understanding their implications. Sovereign citizen arguments may appear compelling on the surface, but they consistently collapse under the scrutiny of established law. Even beyond the legal lessons, the hearing captured the intensity of courtroom interactions. Every refusal to comply, every circular argument, and every deflection created tension and tested the limits of procedural fairness. Judge Simpson's approach, blending patience with firm authority, ensured that the hearing concluded decisively while maintaining control over an unpredictable situation. The final outcome, the immediate contempt ruling, and the jail sentence were the natural consequences of the defendant's choices. By the conclusion, the courtroom had returned to order, but the lesson remained clear: defiance, pseudo-legal arguments, and refusal to participate carry real consequences. The hearing provided a detailed, real-world example of how ideology and reality clash in modern courtrooms. For anyone observing, it reinforced the importance of understanding legal processes, respecting judicial authority, and engaging responsibly in court proceedings. This video is more than just courtroom drama. It is a study in human behavior, legal procedure, and the pitfalls of ideological extremism. It demonstrates the balance judges must strike between patience and enforcement, the challenges posed by uncooperative defendants, and the consequences of disregarding established authority. Mr. McLeod's actions, while extreme, provide a clear illustration of how modern courts respond to attempts at disruption, making the video a compelling, cautionary tale that resonates with anyone interested in law, human behavior, or courtroom dynamics. Ultimately, the hearing underscores the reality that courts operate on rules, structure, and authority, not personal interpretation. Sovereign citizen rhetoric may sound convincing to some, but when tested against actual legal systems, it fails. Compliance, understanding, and respect for procedure are not optional, and those who ignore them do so at their own risk. The video captures this lesson in real time, offering viewer an inside look at the consequences of ideological defiance in a functioning legal system.